Sahana vavatu Sahana bhunaktu Sahaviryam karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma vidvishavahai Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May the Lord protect us. May He nourish us. May we acquire the capacity to study and understand the scriptures. May our study be brilliant and may we not cavil at each other. Om, peace, peace, peace unto us all. Dear brothers and sisters, loving Sai Ram to all of you. We welcome all of you for the online satsang of the Sri Sathya Sai Baba Center of Arcadia. So we are doing our study circle now on Sutra Vahini. This is the commentary given by Bhagavan on the Brahmasutras. As we said, it is worthwhile repeating again for recapitulation. This is called Prasthana Trayam. These are the three spiritual guides for all spiritual seekers. That is Upanishads, then Brahmasutras, and Bhagavad Gita. So this represents like Upanishads. As I said, there are more than 1108, and of them 108 are important. Of them, 10 Upanishads are the one Adi Shankara has written Bhashyam, commentaries. So this is mainly for Shravanam. This is the beginning stage. And the second aspect of our spiritual practice is Mananam, which is Brahmasutras, represent the aspect of Mananam, contemplation on Brahma Vidya. And then finally comes Nididhyasanam, which is depicted in Bhagavad Gita, where the Lord Krishna gives us the essence of all the Upanishads. That is the essence. That is what we talked about. So here we are talking about the Brahmasutras, where we finished already 2 sutras, but at least we should have qualifications we should try to develop. The first one is Athato Brahma Jijnasa, because we are all Brahma Jijnasas. That means we want to have Brahma Vidya, because that is the only way. Otherwise, we have to go on repeating our cycle of births and deaths. And some people may enjoy it. Yes, we can repeat it. So you will be born, again go in the mother's womb, come out, grow up, go to school, get beatings from the teachers or peers, and then go and look for a job, again get a thing, married, children. So this whole thing, sick and get old and then die. So this is Punarapi Jananam, Punarapi Maranam. That is Punarapi Janani Jatare Shenam. This is just born, again die by going to mother's womb. So this is the way the cycle is. And time is ebbing away, as it says. Morning comes, evening comes, spring comes, autumn comes, but our life is ebbing away. And are we reaching the goal? That is why we are fortunate that we have the great masters. Now we have the avatar himself telling us what is the way out. That is for that, the only way out is Brahma Vidya, no other way. That is why Adhyatma Vidya, Vidyanam. So of all the knowledges, the greatest knowledge is the Adhyatma Vidya. That is Lord Krishna himself says in Bhagavad Gita. So all the other things we talked about in Vedas, Karma Kanda, Upasana Kanda, they are all good. They are all Punya Karyas. Like we do Satyanarayana Vatam, Lalit Sahasrama. All these are good. So they will give good karmas. If you want to go to nice, comfortable place, heaven, like you go to nice, you're a rich man, you go a nice vacation to Las Vegas or Monte Carlo or some nice place, mountains. So yes, but how long will you there? Go 1 week, 2 weeks, or few months and come back. Again, you have to come home, right? Once you finish your money and time, you come back. Same thing is this with heaven. Heaven is the place where you go, and because of the good deeds you did so many vratas, you did so many charities, you did this, so you enjoy heaven. Nice thing about heaven is you eat there and you won't get stomach pain, because here we eat too much, we'll get pain. So there you don't have problems. So you enjoy without things. But finally, when you finish your good karma, you have to come back. That is why Lord Krishna says, Chine punye madhyalokam vishanti. Once you finish your punyam, good thing, you have to come back again. Again repeat the same thing, again repeat. So, but the only way to get rid of this cycle is to have the Brahma Vidya, wherein you have to not come back, not question of even. So that is to know your real self. Then there is no more repetition of this painful process. So for that, the qualifications we talked about, so I don't want to repeat again, you go back in Athato, Brahma Jijnasa, 4 important things. We explained Viveka, Vairagya, Shat Sampatti, and Mumukshatva. So once you develop this qualification, then you realize, Janmadasya Brahman. Everything comes from Brahman. Everything is Brahman. That is the knowledge. Now we are in the 3rd Brahmasutra, which says, here it says, Shastrat Yonitvat. Yoni means what? Womb. That is the origin. Shastra Yonitvat. That means from the womb of the Brahman come all these scriptures. So the scriptures come from Brahman himself, the source. Of them, the most important source is the Brahman. The outcome is the Vedas. Veda means nothing but knowledge. With means knowledge, Vedas. All these Vedas, particularly we have 4 which are codified for our convenience. Because originally there is no codification. Veda Vyasa did that. Rig Veda, Yadur Veda, Sama Veda, Dharvana Veda. But originally, they are nothing but revelations from the Lord. That is why they call Apaurusheyas. They are not written by anybody. Like Ramayana is written by Valmiki, Mahabharata is written by Veda Vyasa, Yoga Sutras is written by Patanjali, the Vedaranya Swami written Panchadashi. Everybody has an author. But these Vedas, the silent, deep contemplation of those great seers, they did the inside research. These revelations come. The highest truth came, and they are the Vedas. So they are called Apaurishayas. But they are so anantas, that is why it's infinity. There is no anadi. They don't have beginning, and they don't have their infinite. So it is impossible for any of us to read all the scriptures. I gave the example of sage Bharadwaja, who went on asking Lord Brahma, Indra, oh, I want more time for reading Vedas, more time for reading Vedas. He got 300 years, then extension, another 300 years, another 300, went on extending. After 3 times, Brahma said, is enough? Yeah. So how much knowledge of Vedas I have? Then he showed 3 mountains. What are those 3 mountains? Trayi Vidya, Rug, Yajur, Sama Veda. These are the 3 Vedas. He was very happy, brother. Oh, that means I have attained all that knowledge? No. Those are the Vedas. What you got is fistful of sand from each one of them. That's all you got. So with all those hundreds of years, so in our lifetime we can't. So, but the Veda Sara, essence of the Vedas, you can get with this, the Gita, Brahmasutras, and the Lord explains, which is practice. So now we talk to get that knowledge of Brahma Vidya, 2 important things we discussed last week. One is constant thought about, it's not part-time devotees, as Swami says, we are all want part-time devotees, want full-time benefits. Like somebody go to a part-time job, hey, I want full-time the health insurance, pension benefit. Sir, you are working only 18, 20 hours. You are not eligible. You have to work full-time to get all those benefits. Same thing Lord says, you are part-time devotee, God, but you need to have full-time devotion. That means Sarvada, Sarvatra, Sarvakaleshu Harichintanam. All places, at all time, constant contemplation of God. That is the important to really reach the goal. Otherwise, as I said, we have to repeat this thing. It is good to do good deeds, but you need to go the ultimate goal. The greatest example for this is Prahlada. Prahlada is always thinking about God. Even though he was a 5-year-old boy, his mind was always thinking about God. He was even eating, drinking, sleeping, playing, whatever it is. He says, Narayana, Narayana, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudeva. That kind of constant for such a young boy. That is why I would recommend everybody in Bhagavatam read the Prahlada Charitra. So here gives the highest, what actually he is the one where he tells his father, Hiranyakashipu is a great scientist. He could control 3 words. Swami says the greatest scientist ever known is Hiranyakashipu. Now we go to sun, and not even sun, we are not able to go, sun will burn. Moon. That guy go to even sun, all the planets, all the galaxies, and he could control the air, he could control the water, he control the 5 elements, all that. But he was no peace of mind. So same thing like any scientist even now. So that is where the Prahlada tells his father 3 things. First he says, do you know why? Because you conquered all the worlds, but you didn't control your own mind and senses. So once you don't control your mind and senses, whatever it doesn't, but he says, you need, and also this bhikara shatrula arvara prabhinula chesina pranikotilo. He says, once you get rid of the 6 major enemies, desire, anger, greed, attachment, pride and jealousy, kama, krodha, labha, then there is nobody, no enemy for you. Everybody is your friend. So try to develop that. That is what Prahlad says. Then he says, okay, once you get it up, what should I do? The only 2 is do this 9 types of love for God. You can express God, love for God, but what are the way to, how to do express love God? So there is a way. We can't think about abstractly. It is difficult. I am Brahman, I am Brahman. It is not easy in the beginning. So you need a process. That is why he showed the Navavidha Bhakti. That is why Prahlada is the one who talks about Navavidha Bhakti to his father. He says, Shravanam. First, that means we all need to, that is what we are doing. Always listen to the stories of God, story Bhagavatam, Ramayanam. So when you listen to the stories of saints and avatar, you also, hey, I want to have devotion like that. You hear about Prahlada, you hear about Dhruva, you hear of Tukaram, you hear of Mirabai, Tulsidas. When you hear their stories, we also get that sprout of devotion. That you are their company, satsang, you are with them. So that is what you should have. Shavanam. Then Kirtanam, we should the bhajans. Then you should try to sing the bhajan that will be in tune with God. Then Vishnu Smaranam, always remembrance of God. Then Padasevanam, worship the feet. Then Archanam, you worship the formal worship like Shodasopacharas, worship with the flowers, sandal paste, and offering Naivedya. There's Archanam. Then Vandanam, salutations. Then comes the last 3 most important. Then Dasyam, attitude of servant, like Hanuman had. Attitude of service, always try to do the serve the Lord, serve the people. Then once you do that, then you become like a friend for God, like a Arjuna or Kuchela. Sathyam. And finally, when you do that, you attain the last stage, highest, Atmanived, completely surrendered to God. There is nothing but you are always with Him. You are always with Him. That is what the beauty of the Prahlada Charitra is, how to live constant contemplation of God. That is why he had no fear. We all have fear, says Swami says, from birth to death we have fear. So fear, once you are going pains, there is fear of that. Then fear of old age, fear of sickness, fear of your money, fear of losing wealth. And if you have a famous fear of losing fame, you have fear of losing power, fear of losing beauty, everything is fear. Oh my God, what will happen? What will happen? Finally, the fear of death. So the only thing is this boy didn't have any fear, always smiling, even when he was put in the fire, when he was given poison to drink, when he was thrown from the cliff or the mountains, because he's always, doesn't matter what, because he's, and that is why he had that strength to say, his father says, 2 things very beautiful. His father says, hey, you are such a little boy. Who is giving you this strength? How you are able to? Nobody is dared to, even the gods are feared to oppose me. How dare you are opposing you little guy? He says, who is the strength for you? He says, the strength, beautiful. Bala yutulaku durbalulaku balamevvadu neeku naaku brahmadulaku. Beautifully says, do you know who is my strength? The strength is for weak people, is the strength for the strong people. He is the strength for me, for you, and even Brahma. So all the gods, that one is the strength for me. So we should remember in our life, the only support and strength for us is God. It is nice to love family, wife, spouse, children, yeah, but they are not the real support for you. When the time comes, the only support, the only friend and support is God. That we should remember. So he was dare enough to say to his father, he is the only my power and strength. Then he says, hey, what is this guy who is telling you are the power? Where is he? He show me where he is. Then beautifully, there is another sloka, Padyam, Karadam, Bodhi. Anyway, I don't want to bombard you with Telugu thing. So he says, he's there in the air, he is there in the space, he is there in water, he is there here, there. Where he is not, Indu Garad Andu Leda, he says, you can't say he is here, he is not there, he is everywhere. He gets mad. You mean to say he is everywhere, then show me in the pillar. You know, that is what you said that. So in the pillar, Swami beautifully says, there are so many pillars in the palace. Which pillar he will hit? You don't know which pillar he will hit. That means Narasimha at that time has to permeate every particle of that place because you know where he will hit. So he hits, and because he has to come out of that pillar. Actually, one of my saints was telling there was a guy who they had a drama in the kids. They had this Narasimha drama, and there are 4 pillars they put. And then this Prahlada was praying, and then this Hiranyakashipu was going to hit, and Narasimha is supposed to come from the pillar. So then this guy forgot which pillar behind Narasimha is. Then he was telling which pillar to hit, because if he hit the wrong pillar, the Narasimha won't come. So then that guy has to give a hint, that one. So people were seeing and laughing. So, but here the real Narasimha has to be they are everywhere. Every particle he has to permeate because he can't be just in one pillar. So that is what shows that he is all pervading. That is the devotion we should have, that Prahlada beautifully says about how to worship the Lord, how to develop that intense love.
So thank you, Dr. Reddy. Sairam, brothers and sisters. Bliss is the core of 5 Vital Sheaths. It is an arduous process for people to become aware of the one that is their core. People are of the essence of food, Anna. The gross body is the product of the food consumed. But in people, there is a subtler force, an inner vibration named vital air, prana. The mind, manas, within is subtler still, and deeper than the mind and subtler is the intellect, vijnana. Beyond the intellect, people have in them the subtlest sheath of spiritual bliss, ananda. When people delve into the spiritual bliss region, they can experience their reality, the Brahman, the One. That awareness is indeed the most desirable. In the Bhrigu section of the Taittiriya Upanishad, which comes after the Bliss of Brahman section, Brahmananda Valli, is a story of Bhrigu, son of Varuna. While teaching Bhrigu the Brahman phenomenon, Varuna says, quote, "Son, Brahman cannot be seen through the eyes. Know that Brahman is that which enables the eye to see and the ears to hear. He can be known only through extreme yearning in a cleansed mind and concentrated thought, tapas. No other means can help." Unquote. Then he added, quote, "Dear Bhrigu, know that everything in the universe originates from Brahman, exists in Brahman, unfolds through Brahman, and merges in Brahman alone. Discover it yourself through concentrated spiritual practice." Unquote. The father gave him only these indications before directing him to enter upon spiritual exercises that would ultimately reveal the truth. With full faith in the words of his father, Bhrigu engaged in concentrated spiritual practice. The process of self-control and self-enquiry raised his consciousness, and he believed that he understood at that stage as Brahman and decided that food, Anna, was Brahman. When he declared what he had come to know, his father Varuna told him that his answer was not right. So Bhrigu continued the spiritual practices and found out that the vital air prana was Brahman, since without vital air other things are vain. Vital air causes life, promotes life, and puts an end of life. But his father also pronounced this inference wrong and sent him again for further spiritual practice. In this manner, Bhrigu had a third period of austerity, when he came upon mind, manas, as Brahman, and later a fourth, when he revised that conclusion and believed that it was spiritual wisdom, vijnana. At last, after undergoing a fifth course of spiritual practice, he became aware that spiritual bliss, Ananda, was Brahman. He stayed in that bliss of that awareness and never more proceeded to his father. The father sought Bhrigu and congratulated him, who had cast the world away from his memory. He said, "Son, you have merged in that vision." So this is a small, beautiful example which we have studied before in one of the study guides, but it underscores the principle that we all have to do self-inquiry one by one to reach the truth. In fact, Ananda is the main goal, and the Ananda is same as Brahman and same as love. This is why Swami addresses all of us as Prema Sarupala, embodiment of love, and Divatma Sarupala, embodiment of the Atman, because everything else is the embodiment. So there are layers after layer, like a fruit. You have to peel off the skin and then the inner core until you get to the inside of it. So similarly, this is the example of that. Over to you, Dr. Reddy.
Yeah, here this is important section of the Upanishad called Taittiriya Upanishad. I would also recommend that if you have time and interest, this is one of the very important Upanishads which is very relevant for not only for Brahma Vidya but for daily practice. It has three sections. One is called Shichavali, that is where the beginning, that means how do we behave in life? What you do? This is where the famous quotations we all talk about, we don't know where it came from here. Matrudevo Bhava, treat mother as God, Pitrudevo Bhava, treat father as God, and Acharya Devo Bhava, teacher as God, Atithi Devo Bhava, guest as God. All these things, these instructions. Then how do you give charities? Shraddhayadevam, Ashraddhayadeyam, Shriyadreyam, Hriyadeyam, Samvidaya. When you give charity, you should give with faith, with humility, with respect, give in plenty. Like that, how do you do charities? And this is where Satyam Vada, Dharmam Chara, always. That's where Swami says Satyam Vada means people, instead of telling they killed Satyam, Dharmam Chara, they put prison. So all this is very important aspect of Shichavali. And the second one, right now, the one we talked about, we'll talk another time because it's a lot of time, Brahmanandavalli. What is Brahmanandam? So, and then this is the third chapter is the Bhrigu, where the Varuna, the father, who is some of these people in the old days, their father is actually like their guru. So he's the guru of Bhrigu. So he tells, because he wanted to know what is Brahman. So, and he says from where is the origin comes, in which it is sustained, in which it dissolves. That is Brahman. Then, so this guy goes on inquiry. That is where this spiritual thing is called in Kathopanishad, Chorasya Dhara, walking on a razor's edge. You need to have that steadfastness, one-pointedness. Example is Nachiketa. He was not tempted when the worldly temptation, pleasures, everything. I want that Atma Vidya. He tries to give him long life, lot of pleasures, wealth and name, fame. I don't care, sir. It is nice you give, but I want only that Atma Vidya. He tells the teacher, Yama there, it is the god of death. So that steadfastness to reach the goal, that is where the famous saying, Uttishtata Jagrata Prapya Varan Nibodhara, stop not till the goal is reached, Kathopanishad. So because you need to have that steadfastness to reach the goal, perseverance, as Swami talks about. So this boy, he thought, yeah, just okay, first he said body, because this is all we can relate to his body sheath. We are the body. So he says, yeah, that is where his father said, no. So go back, Finally, from there, to each sheath by sheath, like you take up your jacket, then you have the under vest, then you take a vest, you have a shirt, you take out the undershirt. Similarly, we have 5 sheets. That is what he finds out. First sheet is we all live, most of the people, 90% of the people live where? In body sheath, Annamaya Kosha. That means khana, pina, sona. That means we want to eat, drink, sleep, and have the pleasures. That is what 90% of the people, that is what the whole thing Lord Krishna says. Annamaya Kosha. Then Pranamaya Kosha, Pranama is the vital air sheath. Next level. So that means you are good. Some people do pranayama and at least watch breath control. Then comes the Manomaya sheath, at least mind. Next level, control of the mind. Mind is made of bundle of thoughts. Try to get good sankalpas. So try to find out, is this the one? Even not that one, because we say first you need to still the mind and then kill the mind. So mind is an obstacle. So it takes you to God. It can also give you obstruction to God. So next Manomaya. So that is not the thing. Then go to Vijnanamaya Kosha, intellect sheath, where you go the fundamental discrimination. And finally, oh, I'm not even that. I'm not the Annamaya Kosha, I'm not the Pranamaya Kosha, I'm not the Manomaya Kosha, I'm not Vijnana. Finally, go to the Anandamaya Kosha, bliss sheath. That is why Swami sang also, bliss is my food. And also another beautiful bhajan we have, Premanandame Swayi Swarupam. What is his form? Is not the physical body. Prema and Ananda. His form is made up of love and bliss. That is what God is. So you need to go to that Brahmananda. And that probably I will talk next time. What is this Brahmananda? We usually talk, I ate nice gulab jam or nice cake. Oh, Brahmananda, I went for nice vacation. I see those lake in Brahmananda. That is not Brahmananda. There are 11 stages of Ananda. Just think about it, read it. So next time we can understand Taittiriya Upanishad. First is Manushyananda, then Manusya Gandharvananda next stage, then Deva Gandharvananda, then Ajana Jananda Devananda, Karma Devananda, then Devananda, then Indrananda, then Bruhaspati Ananda, then Pitru Ananda, Prajapati Ananda, then Brahmananda. It means 1 to the power of 10, 10 to the power, so almost it is millions of times of Manushyananda. So we'll talk about it next time because that will take a while. And Sai Ram.